man, Brian, with the crown. Let me just, man, Brian. So I tried to go with a different shirt with the chain under, with the vest kind of open a little bit, Brian, bro. You know what I mean? Like I've never been vest guy, and I'll explain why. I'm from Natchez, Mississippi. It don't really get all that cold out there. Yeah, it don't get all that cold. And in my mind, if you gonna get cold, just like wear something on your sleeve. Like it ain't vest didn't make sense to me, Brian. So you handed me my Crown Global vest, and I was wearing it for the branding. You know what I mean? Like, hey man, it's branding. We're putting on for the label, the logo. You know what I'm saying? The team. Brian, bro, let me tell you something, man. This vest kind of spiffy. Like this Crown Global Media vest is a bit spiffy, Brian, bro. Especially when you started coordinating colors and shit. When your shirt matched the logo for no reason, Brian. Did you hear what I said? You know what I'm talking about? Brian Broaddus, this is one of the best gifts you ever given me, sir. I appreciate you. And one day they're gonna be available. Y'all just gotta hang in there with us. Just hang in there, because I love what's going on here. Brian Broaddus, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing excellent, man. As you can see, it's the reason you're going to need that vest. It's cold in the studio, man. I got a damn hoodie on. I mean, it is cold, but the guy at the building said, "Hey, Brian, we can make it colder if you want." And I go, "Really?" I'm like, "Really?"
I'm an offensive lineman. Make it as cold as you can get it.
Make it as cold as you can make it, and we'll do that. But man, it's coming together nice. And yeah, like I say, I know a lot of people have asked about the merch and things like that. Just let me and Voch get this studio opened up, and then we'll go from there. How about that?
Man, because I'm trying to wear suits and everything up in there, Brian.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to sweat. You know, I ain't trying to sweat.
Yeah.
And Brian, the Cowboys got this game on Friday. Friday is weird because it's like, damn, it ain't Saturday, it's Friday. You know what I mean? But they got this game on Friday versus the Atlanta Falcons, Brian. I mean, I was at the Brian Schottenheimer presser yesterday, bro. I was just listening to. I was sitting by Tommy or something, and I heard Schottenheimer speak, and somebody asked Schotty, I forgot who asked. They said, "Coach, do you have a plan about how you're gonna run these guys out? How much play time they're gonna get?"
Shotty says Clarence Hill. I think it was Clarence Hill.
Something like that. Something chill. And Shotty alluded to. He said this, Brian. Tell me what you think about it. Shotty said, depending on how things go at practice today,
right,
some guys may get less time in the game. I said, what that mean?
Yeah.
Now, I could have tweeted that immediately, Brian, but I'm not in the hot news business. That ain't my game. I want to ask Bryan Broaddus questions and things like that, and then I want to make some podcast stuff out of it. So I saved that one for you in particular. Brian, what you think that means? And what guy do you think, what player do you think? And I would imagine it's like a middle of the roster player. You know what I mean? I would imagine it's not one of the guys at the top or even like the guys at the bottom. Somebody asked, well, Voch, how much you think Trayshawn Holden and Josh Kelly played? They might play the whole damn game, right?
Might play the whole game,
But Brian, who is it in the middle that seems like they're on the team but still's going to play tomorrow? And what did you get from Shotty's quote right there, Brian? I just thought that was interesting.
I think he could be talking about some of these offensive linemen. I think he'd be talking about Mozzie Smith too. I think he could be talking about maybe even Sam Williams. You know, there's some guys that need to play, that need to the guys like the wide receivers, the Holdens, the Croppers, and guys like that. I kind of feel like that they've got this thing figured out at receiver. I don't know if they've got this thing figured out at defensive tackle yet. And I think they want to kind of see what guys they potentially could use as backup guys if they carry 9 or 10 and go that route. They clearly have got to figure out some of the cornerback situations too. You know, you had a guy like Booth, maybe not as good as he played in the Ravens game. Maybe you run him out there again and say, okay, let's see you once again, game 3. Let's see if give us a reason to keep you here. I think this is the theme of this game is give me a reason to keep you here. I was listening to my guys on my station on 105.3 this morning driving into our studio, and they were asking about they're talking to Babe Loffenberg, and they go, "Is there anybody that you ever saw that made a team on the last preseason game?" And they're like, Babe's like, I really can't think, da 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 da. I'll tell you one I know of, and this was when I was in Green Bay. Desmond Howard.
Mm,
Desmond Howard was hurt the entire preseason for us in Green Bay, and did not play until the Indianapolis game, the final preseason. At that time, we had the 4 preseason games. He returns a punt for a touchdown. And we're all after the game sitting in the coach's locker room. Mike Homer looks at Ron Wolf and goes, "Desmond Howard made this team tonight, Ron. Just want to let you know we got to figure out how to get around that, but he's going to be on the team."
yeah.
And Ron says, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, he's going to be our punt returner. That's going to be our punt and kick returner right there for the season."
Yeah.
And Ron goes, "Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll do what we have to do." Desmond Howard later in the year was the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Mm,
And he was really, there was questions about him being on the roster up until that punt return.
yeah.
Mike says that's why we brought him here. That's what he's going to do for us. He's going to be that guy. He was just hurt. He was hurt. Now he's going to be that guy. Mike was right. And so you never know. You never know. Personnel guys, front office always kind of have this thought about, okay, who are the 53? There's a lot of guys, but you just don't know whose tag right now is on your personnel board. And there's probably 4 or 5 guys just sitting over there by themselves, and you're trying to make a decision on them. Everybody else seems to be, okay, here are the guys we're going to release. Here are the guys they're going to make. And you got 4 or 5 guys tagged sitting over there on the far right corner of that board,
Yeah.
and you're trying to figure out, like, do something to make your tag go back into the mix, or do something that causes us to take your tag and put it down with the players we're about to release. People say, oh, it's really not that important. It is important. It really, really is important. Babe Loffenberg is like, oh, I don't know, probably the team, no, no, you're wrong, babe. You're wrong.
Yeah.
It's important because there are some guys that are probably right now in that mode of being those 4 or 5 tags on the right side of the board.
Sure.
And I think it's a couple of guys, when you and I did the exercise yesterday, and by the way, great job on that, of who you would trade for, or who would you try and move and stuff like that. If you were, you're another team and you're looking, okay, well, that's kind of the exercise everybody's doing right now. They're looking, the pro personnel guys from other teams are looking at your team, and they're like trying to project. I've had guys already, my gang of 7 is like calling me, like, where do you think this is going to fall, Brian? Where do you think it's going to, where do you think? And I'm like, well, this is kind of how I see it. And I think that there's guys, like I said, that the Mozzie Smiths, the really honestly, the Sam Williams,
Mhm.
hell, Miles Sanders. I mean, there's guys that maybe we were kind of talk about. We thought, oh, they're over on this side of the board, but they're really over on that 4 or 5 guys over there on the far right corner.
Sam had a lot of energy yesterday at practice. I was up there in the press box, Brian, up there in the media press box, something like that. I was up there. I was drinking some Deja Blue, and I was sitting with Christy Scales, and we was talking about, like, I don't know,
Well, that's a good
like
person to sit with, man. She knows.
was talking about music or Disney or something like that. I don't know, but sideline reporter Christy Scales, like,
She's good.
she was like, damn, boy, Sam sure is playing with a lot of energy. And I just remember, like,
Mm.
I think his life's on the line. Chris.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
think
agree.
he's playing with a lot of energy because I
Yeah,
think he's feeling the importance
yeah,
of what's happening here. And like we said yesterday, if the Cowboys carry 6 edges, he'll be fine. That's a lot of
be fine.
edges. That's a lot of edges to carry. And there's a
Right.
lot of there's a lot of competition in that room. Clark was another one. Damon Clark ran around and hit people a bunch yesterday, to where I think Shoddy, and I was at practice, y'all, watching from the press booth with Chris Scales and a few other people. Um, and Shoddy was visibly upset because it was a lot of on the ground. It was a
Yeah.
lot of not staying up. And I was like, man, this practice seemed exceptionally physical. I just think that the guys are just feeling a bunch of pressure, Brian. Honestly.
Yeah. There's a lot of anxiety this time of year, and there's a lot of anxiety in the front office because there's guys that you fought for, and let's be honest. Will McClay fought for Mozzie Smith.
For sure.
He fought for him. He stood up there and told you that, he told the room before the draft, no, it's not Ben Bergeron, it's Mozzie Smith. That's who it is. It's Mozzie Smith. And there's a lot of guys that are kind of feeling that pressure right now of players that they fought for. I'm sure there's people that fought for Tolbert. I'm sure there's people that fought for Sam Williams. I'm sure there's people that fought. There's pro guys that thought, oh, let's go trade for Booth. I mean, there's guys that have kind of laid it on the line a little bit. So not only are the players anxious, but the guys in the front office are anxious. Not that you missed on a guy. Nobody wants to miss on a guy. Hell, nobody wants to miss on Mozzie Smith. Man, that's bad. That's
Mhm.
just bad. And so there, this time of year, nobody's really feeling comfortable. Let's say players 51 and on down, they're not feeling really comfortable right now
Right.
with what's going on. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I felt pressured too because I knew in pro personnel, I knew that we had to maybe make some claims that maybe, okay, some of these guys we missed on, I got to be ready, man. I got to be ready to tell about this defensive tackle with the Vikings. I got to be ready to talk about this corner from Tampa Bay. I got to be ready to talk. And, those are the conversations that you have.
Mhm.
And, it's the evaluations that you have too. But I, I could see guys trying to, it might be, to be honest with you, Vach, it might be a lot of false energy,
Mm.
and when it's all said and done, you just sit down and like, okay, now my fate's in the hands of the front office. And the question you have to ask yourself is, did you do enough?
Right.
Did you do enough? And I'll say this: a lot of players get themselves released by the way they play. If you're not playing at a level, but man, you do not want to make a mistake. You do not want to keep a running back, and or say you keep, say, Sanders and put Maffa out there, and then Maffa all of a sudden does get claimed and then is on some other team, and then you're watching him play. And now you're going, or you're watching you're watching Tolbert, excuse me, and you're watching him play, and he's on some other team, and you're going, that's where was that guy? That kind of thing. So there's a lot of that going on, especially with the way that the team building is nowadays.
Man, Brian, I looked over at Nicole Hutchinson and Nick Harris, and I was like, man, we must be getting ready for the Eagles right now. And they said, why you say that, Vach? Me being the offensive line guy that I am.
Mhm.
And I never thought about this until I saw it yesterday, Brian. But I look at Tyler Booker down there. Man, they going up there and they getting in their little stands. They get on the line of scrimmage. He looking back at Dak. Dak raises his foot and Book go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then BB snaps the ball. So I said, oh, they're working on silent counts right now.
Silent counts. Yeah.
And I
Silent
said,
counts.
oh, Zach Martin used to be that dude. And I said,
Yeah.
oh, her rookie's doing it now. Oh,
Mm.
damn. And then I continue to think with, Jess Navarez and Nicky, just all those guys I was up there with.
Yeah.
I continue to think that's a lot of responsibility.
Mhm.
Rookie, game one,
Yeah.
Jalen Carter might be over there.
Mhm.
And then there's this idea that the Cowboys, because we've been watching practice, Brian, the idea that the Cowboys are going to be heavily reliant on shifts and motions
They are.
and all this kind of stuff, Brian.
Right.
So, damn, that's a lot for a young
Mhm.
guy to just kind of have on his plate right now. Brian, what do you think about what I just said to you?
Yeah. I think that
And it's in
it's
Philly, by the way. It's in Philly. So go ahead,
it's in
please.
Philly. No, great observation, because they're going to have to probably go with some silent count. And as that game wears on, if it's a really close game, it's only going to get louder. It's just going to get loud in that place. And so you got to be ready, with the silent count stuff. You got to be able to not only, get that all synchronized, but, he's got to be able to block Carter and look and see other things that he has to do. It is a lot of responsibility. It is, for him he's going to have to keep an eye on Dak, and then he's going to do the snap, identify. He's going to tap BB or give him the hand, and then he's got to be ready to go. So yeah, it's his attention is going to be in different areas even before the play even starts. So really, really good observation on your part, but they're going to have to be able to play silent count in Philadelphia. And like I said, if it is a really, really close ball game, I've been in that place, it gets extremely loud, and you got to be able to function that way. You cannot rely on Dak just screaming at the top of his lungs and hoping that everybody hears him. They've got to be able to do some silent count stuff.
Kyrie Elam made a lot of plays yesterday, and
Yeah.
I remember looking over at Brad Sham, and Brad Sham looked surprised
Yeah.
at the amount of plays that Kyrie Elam was making, Bryan Broaddus, and honestly, I'm just watching with him. Um, I think we can trust him, Brian. I think Kyrie Elam is a guy that we can kind of trust a little bit. Uh, Brian, if you don't mind, could you use your Illuminati phone at some point today and ask why Bland wasn't practicing yesterday? Deron
Sure.
Bland was on the sideline, street clothes. Everybody was working out. Even Kenneth Murray was like everybody worked out, but Deron Bland did not. So at some point today on your Illuminati phone, I'm just curious as to why Bland was in street clothes or whatnot. But
I'll get you an answer as soon as we're done.
thank you very much, sir. But Kyrie Elam keeps showing up. He kept
Yeah.
showing up. And he's making plays on CeeDee Lamb and on George Pickens, Bryan Broaddus. And I think that has more to do with Elam playing at a higher level than like Lamb or Pickens looking bad or anything like that. Because Lamb and Pickens proceeded to whoop feet for the rest of the day. Brian, how massive is it for us to have a guy in Elam and for us to have confidence in him?
Yeah. And he has not failed to deliver since the OTAs and mini camps. There was a lot of chatter about when he was brought on board, that everybody immediately went to Kansas City game, and he's been a bust and he's got torched and all this, and instead of really giving the guy a chance.
Mm,
And it kind of started in the OTAs, as I mentioned, the practices, the media practices. It's like, well, Elam had an interception. Oh, next one, Elam knocked the ball down. Well, oh, then the next one, Elam had another interception. Then we got to training camp, and I watched 8 practices, and Elam had 3 interceptions. And that was covering, it wasn't all Joe Milton interceptions. There were some Dak Prescott interceptions in there too. And so now you're kind of thinking like, well, maybe this guy does have a feel. Maybe this secondary coach Overstreet and Matt Eberflus, maybe they've kind of unlocked something with this guy, that he's playing with more confidence and better feel, and they're kind of putting him in positions to make plays.
mm,
Uh, he he can be physical. He can be willing to tackle. He could play really, really tight up on you. He could play in zone. He could drive that. There's some complete elements to his game,
mm,
and I think he's answered the bell. Now, the big test is going to be answer the bell, but can you answer the bell against, you know, the Eagles receivers? Can you answer the bell against neighbors? Can you answer the bell? There's going to be games, and but it's got to give the coaching staff a little bit of peace of mind that this guy has shown up. He clearly has not been the liability that a lot of people believed he was going to be.
for sure.
And so if this team has just got to weather the storm early in the season till they can get Diggs back, and maybe even Butler and Carson, and we'll see with Ravel what happens there. But man, if they could just weather the storm to get, and there could be a time where all of a sudden, it's Bland, it's Diggs, and it's, Elam figuring out, hey, how are we gonna, does Bland kick inside, Elam play on the outside, or does Elam play so well you can't take him off the field? That's your hope if you're a Cowboys fan, that Elam is playing to the level where you don't want to take him off the field. You don't want him to be a liability, and at least through his early tenure here with the Dallas Cowboys, he has given us no reason to think that he can't handle the job. And I think that's encouraging.
Yeah, bro. I was talking to Nick Harris, man, and we was commenting about John
All
Machota.
right,
And
how long was this practice? How long was this practice you were at
I,
yesterday, by the way?
I'm very sociable, Brian. That's all.
I about to say it was like in the press box, were you just kind of walking around and plopping down next to people, or were people gravitating over towards you and asking you questions? By the
Uh,
way, by the way, Clarence Hill will ask you your opinion,
yeah,
and then when you give your opinion, he'll fight you on your opinion.
which is
So
crazy.
get ready for that.
Which is great. A little bit of both. Sometimes I'll go
Yeah,
over it because I'm from Mississippi, so I go shake everybody's hand. How you doing? How you
you
doing?
got a lot of hospital. What is it?
Hos-
Hospitality. A lot of
hospitable,
hospitality. Very
hospitable.
hospitable.
But
Very hospitable. I
yeah,
didn't want to
bro,
say you were hostile. I wanted to say you had a lot of hospitality.
that's totally different.
Hospitality.
That's a
Yeah.
whole nother definition. But yeah, Brian. John Machota tweeted yesterday during the media scrum, and I just tapped in with Nick Harris just to make sure I heard the same thing that he heard. And Joe Milton apparently doesn't think that he throws the ball very hard.
Mm.
Uh, and apparently he's sick of us talking about it. He said, "Hey, let me just put this to rest," because the actual audio came out later. He said, "Let me just put this to rest.
Mhm.
I don't throw the ball hard. It just comes off my hands in that way. If you're an
Mhm.
NFL receiver, you should be able to catch the football." But
Mhm.
something interesting later on in that same media scrum situation, somebody asked him, "How do you handle days after the game?" And Joe said, "Well, I watch film and I get with my private quarterback trainer, and I
Mhm.
work on accuracy, footwork, and throwing a catchable ball."
Mhm.
Well, Joseph, you just say, hey, you just said you'll throw the ball hard, player, Brian. It is you think this is what I think it is, Brian. And I
Mhm.
also asked Will Still this. Will wasn't there this year, but Will Still will definitely be in the media situation, moving forward. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I text Will Still from the crib, and Will Still told me something that was interesting to me. He thinks that the noise is getting to Joe Milton a little bit. You know what I mean? Like if you over there with the Patriots, you just kind of kick it and play ball. You know what I mean? But and it's interesting, Brian, because me and you brought this up on that Patriots film. He did a lot more running. He was a lot more free. I feel like he wasn't as inaccurate. Like he still missed some reads. Like that's a thing. But I didn't feel like he was this inaccurate to where he's missing wide open people. I thought when he was in New England, he just got a chance to just play and run around and kick it. I think now he's trying to prove that he can be a passer of the football, or he's trying to
Yeah.
prove that he can be counted on if anything happens to Dak. I even think there's a part of Joe that feels like he can come in here and I just watched the Netflix documentary. He could be Birdline his Aikman, Bryan Broaddus. I think there's a part of Joe Milton that heard some of the fanfare behind him, then the mess behind him, and I think his mentals are carrying some of his nonsense on the field a little bit, Brian. But that is a Will Steele theory of his, and shouts out to him for saying that. Brian, what do you think about Will Steele's theory?
Yeah. You're absolutely right about working with Will. He's one of my favorites. The thing that I found interesting is the first week of practice that I was in Oxnard, I felt like that he ran the ball too much. He ran around too much.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't trust what he was looking at, and he just ran. And I was thinking, like, and I wonder if somebody got to him on the coaching staff. I wonder if somebody went up to him and said, Joe, just make a throw.
Yeah,
Good or bad, drop back or take the snap, drop back, and throw it.
yeah,
And let's see what happens. Because early in the practices, there would be times where Joe Milton would drop back and then he would run. And I'm like, damn, this is a practice. Throw the ball.
yeah,
That was my attitude watching it.
sure,
And I wonder if somebody in the organization got to him and said, Joe, just throw the ball.
yeah,
We know you can run. We know you're an athlete. We know you can do a backflip with full pads on. Just just throw it.
sure,
Just throw it and see what happens. We want to evaluate the thrower.
right,
I think that's what really he there's he's starting to see though. There's a lot of pressure A lot of pressure because everybody wants the backup quarterback to be the guy, right? Here in Dallas. Doesn't matter. Roger Staubach, Danny White, it doesn't matter. We're always like, oh, the backup, get the backup ready, get Trey Lance ready, get him ready, that's not reality, but I think that this front office coaching staff, they want to see Joe Milton throw the ball just to get an evaluation. I think that's why he's maybe going through some of the things he's going through right now.
Sure. I just thought it was hysterical when he said it, because it ain't like the ball hitting the receivers in the hands and the ball falling to the ground. The ball hitting their hands and bouncing backwards over there somewhere, or he's just missing altogether. You know what I mean? And we were watching Red Zone period. Me and Tommy was watching Red Zone period, and even down there in the red zone, 6 yards away from the end zone, he's throwing at the same velocity that he's throwing a 60-yard pass with, Bryan Broaddus. And I think that's something else, Joe. I think Joe needs to be open to that feedback, maybe. And there's times where you need velocity. That's when you're trying to fit a ball into something. But every pass can't be a rocket. I mean, hell, you're a Green Bay guy. Didn't somebody tell Brett Favre to chill out?
Favre. And I'm glad you brought that up, because Mike Holmgren would have to call plays. He knew early in the game that Brett would be really amped up, and especially we were playing like at Texas Stadium, and they had that hump, that crown, and our receivers were like running downhill, and Favre would throw it into like row 6 because he couldn't, he just had, but he would call like passes to where Holmgren would call passes where he'd throw the ball to Mark Schumer inside tight end for like 7 yards, 6 yards, and kind of get Brett into a little rhythm to where he would start to throw the ball. But Brett didn't know where he was going to go at times, and he got better. I mean, hell, he got a lot better. He played 20 damn years, more than that. Joe Milton, though, has got to learn, though, like, even when he tries to kind of ease up on a pass, it doesn't always look like he's comfortable doing that.
Sure.
So, but he's got to become his mechanics, footwork, all these things are when he'll make a 60-yard throw with his feet being totally out of whack.
Sure.
But that's not the norm. You need to be able to have the balance and be able to kind of, that's how you control the ball, not throwing off your back foot, which he can do. He can throw the ball. I think he threw a ball to Brooks yesterday that was moving to his left, feet out of whack, and just a shot down the field. He's capable of that. But that's not how he's going to make a living in the National Football League.
Yeah. Fair enough, Mr. Broaddus. Appreciate you for entertaining.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
My little nonsense today and my little stories about me doing media stuff. You know what I mean? Thank you very much.
No, man, I tell you what, I was impressed the fact that you were able to entertain everybody that was in your presence last night with the practice.
I'm likable, Bryan, bro.
Very likable guy. I could see you sitting there with people walking up and saying, hey, well, it's like you're kind of like the new kid in school. Everybody's getting to know. I mean, you're a longtime veteran, but you were doing it at another level. Now everybody knows that, oh, I know this new kid in school. I just want to go up and meet the new kid in school.
Georgie Porgy, you feel me? Bryan Broaddus, I appreciate you for tapping in with me, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. We're going to continue to do this, and we got another week of miscellaneous bye-week stuff going on. But Crown Global is going to get going by September 1st, and that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun.
Game week.
Yeah.
Be ready.
We need to figure out how we're gonna do that, because the Eagles game is Thursday, and that's gonna happen quick. That's gonna happen fast. So we'll figure that schedule out. But y'all be sure to tap in with us and go follow the page right now so that you're ready for when that day one rollout happens. It's Crown Global Media on YouTube. If you can't find it, find me on Twitter at VOCHLMBRD or BRYN Broaddus, and we'll gladly direct you, send you a link, or you can check the bio. We might even take the damn Crown Global Twitter page and tweet your ass. So you can find it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go. We can do that.
And hopefully these vests will be ready by the end of the year. All right?
No, absolutely. When it starts to get cold, when it really starts to get cold, we're going to get them vests ready. Trust me.
Y'all hold it down until next time. We love y'all to pieces. Crown.